Okay, moving on to 2012-77. First reading, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Section 3.5 of the Flexible Benefit Plan for City Employees as originally adopted by Ordinance 12-181, as most recently amended by Ordinance 14-725.
Gail.
Thank you. This is the annual renewal to the city's flexible benefits plan, also known as our cafeteria plan. We look at this every year as we look at the renewals of our health insurance. So the increases here are kind of reflected in the resolution that we'll be talking about in a few minutes about health insurance. We are looking at about a 4.9% increase to our health insurance. So the increases here are reflective of that and are split between the employees and the city. So be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I gotta point this out. This is a little bit out of order, but Nathan has a decimal meter for his. Is this an Android? I'm assuming you can get it for an iPhone too. So, council, as you look around the city, you want to know what other things are. At least this app's out there. So
it's not that accurate though.
Okay. Any questions for Gail? All right. Moving on to 2012-78. First reading, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Houck Transit Advertising.
Roger.
Thank you, Mayor. In an effort to generate some additional revenue for our transit operations, we had put out an RFP for advertising on our bus system. We were hopeful of getting a lot of interest, but we only had one provider that responded to the RFP, and that was Houck Transit Advertising. This is a company that solely does bus advertising as their business. It's a family-owned business, and they've been in this operation for 92 years. So they've been doing this for a long time. The proposal that they have provided us is to provide us with 50% of their billed activity as our revenue for the first year, and then they've guaranteed us at least $6,000 per year in future years, and this would be for a 5-year period, but it is renewable each year. We also, if they receive more revenue and they're able to fill all the advertising on the buses, they would be providing us 50% of that billed revenue, which could exceed that $6,000 per year in future years. They're very interested in getting started. They've been in contact with various folks here in town to already seek advertising, and I think they're having some success. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Mr. Henry.
Roger, is there any other things or ideas that can be came up with as far as trying to draw more businesses to want to advertise on the buses?
Well, at this point, they're just now making initial contacts, so I don't know what type of success they've had yet at this point. They have told me they've already got one national firm that has committed to advertising on the buses, and it probably will depend on how many buses that the various firms want to take. But we have given them a list of businesses here in our community for them to start contacting, and this won't be voted on till next time, so it won't actually go into effect until we sign contracts after the next meeting.
Follow up, you good with that? Who is over here? Mr. Lubert.
Do we have right of approval or disapproval of the content of the ads?
Yes, that is correct, Bill. We have the right to approve any of the advertising that goes on our buses. We also have the opportunity, if they do not have spaces filled, the city could use it for promotional advertisements as well.
I just asked Nathan on a sidebar discussion, how would we go about approving and or disapproving what was on there? Who would approve it?
Well, ultimately it would be the city administrator, but we certainly don't want to put anything on our buses that would bring any discredit to the city.
Understand.
It's set primarily by criteria. It would only be in times when there was a question. For instance, if you know, we prohibit advertisements that are offensive. So if they had a question, is this offensive? Then we would make a ruling on.
And that would
Whether it's
be,
offensive.
that would be by the council or by administration?
It would be by administration. You actually don't want the council to be involved in that. You want to isolate the council from that decision. What we're really trying to do is not make the buses open for anybody to put whatever crazy message they want. And so we're trying to keep it from being a free speech forum.
And no political ads, correct?
Correct, because political ads open up a huge door in terms of it's. We all think of political ads as terms of, you know, Joe for president or Joe for mayor.
Could be a lot of other things.
But it could be a lot of other things.
Okay. Dr. Pope.
So essentially, anyone that would hold a city business license would be able to advertise.
Well, or any other commercial. You wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to have a business license,
Sure.
but any commercial activity is what we're looking for,
Got
not
it.
for other types of things.
Okay.
But civic activity could be possible too. You know, for instance, if say the United Way wanted to run an ad.
Drew?
It's probably worth noting, since this goes contrary to what we tell you all the time, that you can't give commercial speech more than political speech. But the reason this is constitutional is because we have a contract with Hauk, and we can tell Hauk what to do.
Okay.
So you are all not deciding what goes on the bus. Hauk is deciding what goes on the bus, and we have a contract with Hauk.
You're just telling them what you want and what you don't.
Right.
Okay. Who's
Like
next?
what makes us happy as a client, essentially.
Okay. So if you're a politician, can you have a birthday on there? Just teasing. Sean?
Mr. Schwartz, does the advertising include the glass on the side or just the metal panels?
It'll be up to the client on what they want to advertise on the bus. This opens it up that they could advertise on the interior or the exterior of the bus, the sides or the back, or they can even do as much as a complete wrap of the bus if they so desire. But obviously, Hauk Advertising is going to price those all differently because if they want a full wrap of one of our large buses, I'm sure that will not be very cheap for them.
Roger, do you know by chance how often will they be changing the message? What's the shortest amount of time you can buy?
I'm assuming it's going to be nearly daily. I haven't talked to them about that because what they're talking about is panels that go on the side, and that we can actually take panels off to wash the bus, for instance. So they can be changed very quickly.
I know, like billboard companies, for instance, they have postings like once a month, or I think maybe you can buy weekly ones now. I was just curious on how long the ads would be up. You don't know?
I do not know how they're going to price
Okay.
it, no.
We'll have to contact them, I guess. Bob?
What are the termination process if we decide for whatever reason a year from now that we just don't like our buses running around with ads on them?
The contract does allow for termination by either party giving proper notice.
Okay, and the notice is what, how long?
30 days.
30 days.
30 days.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, moving on to 2012-79.
An ordinance of the city amending section 19401 motor vehicles and traffic, Schedule J, parking prohibited, subparagraph A of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, pertaining to a portion of Norman Drive.
Roger? Thank you. Anything else, Roger?
No.
Okay, Bob?
Do you know why FedEx requested that parking be eliminated all the way down in front of the First Student property?
That was actually part of the staff's recommendation, and I have not seen the proposal that they provided to you this evening, but we were just looking at it from an easier standpoint to handle the enforcement. Normally, if we have a street of this type, we would restrict the parking on one side, and we'd choose the side that had the most driveways so that it affected the least number of parking spaces, and that's what was recommended here.
You heard the presentation. You didn't necessarily see it, perhaps, but and I guess you're looking at it right now. Is there? Would you find any objection, just off the top of your head? Would you find any objection to allowing parking in that section if it doesn't create any problems for FedEx?
It's something we can certainly look at. It appears what they've done is just said no parking next to the driveway where Federal Express is.
Yeah, so it looks like they've tried to eliminate so they can make a swing there and so forth, so you don't have cars. And I'm a little unclear. I think if you could look to the bottom of the page here, I think that's probably a driveway into a storage area or something.
I'm assuming that's Federal Express's driveway.
Oh, okay. All right. So by eliminating on both sides of that driveway, that would make it, should make it easier for them to swing in and out of there. Okay.
Any other questions on 2012-79? All right, moving on. First reading of 2012-80, please.
An ordinance amending Section 19401, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule O, Parking Time Limit Zones, Subparagraph F, Time Zone F of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, by modifying a portion of the 700 block of West Main Street.
Roger.
This is an area on West Main Street in the 700 block just west of Bolivar Street, and in this area West Main is basically transitioning again from a commercial area into a residential area, and what we had here was a request to modify the parking to place a 2-hour limit, because what we have going on today is people coming there and they're parking all day, and some of the businesses in that block could not have a place for patrons to park, to come in and do business. So they had requested that we make a 2-hour parking limit on this section. It affects about 6 parking spaces on the west side of Bolivar Street at this location. There were several people that came to the Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting and spoke about this. It seemed to be a fairly good compromise with the folks that were there, because there was concern from the residents that they wouldn't be able to park on the street and they don't have adequate off parking. But when they saw the layout, they seemed to be okay, because it was in front of where these commercial businesses were. I'd entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions for Roger? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 2012-81.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Section 19401, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule J, Parking Prohibited, Subparagraph A of the Code of the City of Jefferson, pertaining to a portion of Wicker Lane.
Roger.
Another parking issue on Wicker Lane, and this is just off of Missouri Boulevard. This street is only 22 foot wide and does not have curb and gutter on the street. What we've got going on in this area is we've had 2 new businesses opened on Missouri Boulevard, and they're doing quite well, and there's overflow parking. There's overflow parking on that is occurring on Wicker Lane, that's causing the people that have commercial businesses down Wicker Lane that need to get trucks in and out difficulty with getting up and down the road. We've observed this on several occasions, and we have already worked with the police chief to initiate a temporary 90-day parking restriction on Wicker Lane in this area to help alleviate this problem, to allow the businesses to be able to get truck traffic in and out. I've been out there myself, and if they park on both sides of the road, they've really created a one-lane road situation on Wicker Lane.
Okay. Any questions for Roger on 2012-81? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to first reading of 2012-82.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri amending the 2011-2012 budget of the City of Jefferson, Missouri by appropriating additional funds from the general fund to various accounts for fuel and parts.
Nathan.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a supplemental appropriation, transferring money to cover a couple things that actually 4 things that we're running out of towards the end of the year. First of all, from the wastewater fund, they need to purchase some more chemicals, more than what they had. They will transfer money from their own internal reserves to cover that. Apparently, the hot weather affected the use of chemicals out at the wastewater plant. And then wastewater and the general fund both will need to have a supplemental appropriation for fuel and oil, and that just reflects the higher price of oil and gas that we've been experiencing. Wastewater will take that out of their own internal reserves. The general fund would transfer that out of our reserves, and the general fund also would transfer to the parts section some money to cover parts. We have parts has been going up pretty steadily the last few years. There's particularly been higher this year, and I think a large part of that is tires seems to be a big issue in the purchase of tires. So we're requesting that those transfers be approved to keep those operating. We have actually run out of money in some of those funds and have been operating on emergency appropriations just to keep the fleet running.
Any questions for Nathan on 2012-82? All right, moving on. We'll move on to bills pending. We'll have third reading of 2012-70, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a contract with Stockman Construction Corporation to construct the 2012 various sewer main repairs.
Roger.
Thank you, Mayor. We took bids on some sewer improvements to be constructed. The low bid that we received was from Stockman Construction Corporation in the amount of $212,555. We got great bids on this project. The biggest portion of the construction actually occurs on Madison Street. This is the area in front of Central Dairy. We need to provide a larger sewer along there connecting to the sewer along the expressway. So we will be going from one manhole there in front of Central Dairy over to the expressway, which will impact Madison Street in that area while we do that construction. And that will help us eliminate some of our wet weather overflows that we've had in that Dunklin Street area in the past. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Any questions of Roger? Council debate? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bray.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Lubert.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Scribner.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have third reading of 2012-71.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Kaufman Enterprises, LLC for the sidewalk repair project on Dunklin, Jackson, High, and McCarty Streets.
Roger.
Thank you, Mayor. We again took bids on some sidewalk repairs, and also it included some additional parking spaces to be added out in the area of our new animal shelter. We've got a lot of visitors that come there and a lot of volunteers, and we've been short of parking. So in this contract, $20,000, $20,780 would go for the additional parking, and the remainder of the $267,919 would be for sidewalk repairs. And these are repairs that we've identified that are on Dunklin, Jackson, High Street, and McCarty Street. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Roger? Council debate? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Carroll.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Lubert.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Pope.
No.
Prather.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Bray.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have third reading of 2012-73.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri establishing primary and general election dates in the City of Jefferson, Missouri for 2013.
Drew. And I see there's a substitute.
That's correct. You want me to
Wanna
describe
take
the
it?
substitute?
Why don't we see if, yep, describe it, and then we'll vote on it.
The substitute changes the February election to a March election, a primary.
Okay, at this point in time, we'll entertain a motion to accept substitute. It's been moved and seconded, moved by Pope, seconded by Schulte. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We'll now take up the bill as substituted. Drew.
This ordinance is required yearly. It sets our elections. The primary will be set in March, on March 5th. The general will be April 2nd. And half of you are up for election.
Anybody have any February primary signs they want to sell? No, it's teasing. Okay, any discussion or questions of Drew? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Henry. Lubert.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Bray.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll move into the informal calendar. Mr. Mahalovich, what are your plans for 2012-50 and 2012-51?
Keep on it informal.
All right, thank you. Moving on, resolutions. At this point in time, we'll look for a motion to accept Resolution 2012-10.
We do the presentations on
Sure,
10, 11, 13, and 14 altogether.
that's fine, but we'll still need a motion to bring them up, right?
Yeah, I thought maybe.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What Drew's trying to say, and I should have stated it this way, how about a motion to take up 2012, 10, 11, 13, and 14?
Second.
It's moved by Schulte, seconded by Carroll. Questions, comments? All in favor? Oh, it's roll call, sorry. Roll call, please.
Do you want the bills introduced first?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, Resolution 10 is the annual renewal for our health insurance. Each year we bid that out. This year we are currently with United Healthcare, and the recommendation is to continue for another year with United Healthcare. As I mentioned earlier, we were looking at a 4.9% increase in premiums over our current year. There are a few changes that we did have to make to achieve that amount. One, we removed the wellness components that United Healthcare had included in their plan. We felt that that was a good move because we already have our own wellness program that we use. The second thing that we did is we're going to have to go to what they call a 2011 certificate of coverage, which the main change is that it basically requires pre-authorizations to be obtained before getting services. Members can still go to the doctor. They don't need any kind of authorization or anything to go to the doctor, but if while seeing the doctor decides they need to go and get an MRI or some other type of service, the doctor's office would have to get pre-authorization for that before that service can be done. And then the third change, and this is really probably the biggest change, although it's not something that the city employees actually will see, is that the city is going to self-insure a portion of the deductible. Currently, the deductible for members is $350, $700 for a family plan. All of the information that the members will see will still continue to list those amounts. However, the premiums are actually set at the rate of a $1,000 deductible, $2,000 for the family plan. So what will happen is the United Healthcare will actually pay for the deductible amounts between $350 and $1,000, and will then turn around and bill the city for those amounts. So we're self-insuring those amounts. The 4.9% increase is based on a 20% utilization. The national average is actually a 16% utilization, so we feel as though the city is being very conservative with that estimate and basing the rates at that. So it potentially has the, you know, the ability to actually save the city quite a bit of money. So those are the big changes. Otherwise, there are no changes in co-payments or co-insurances, deductible, et cetera, for the members.
Okay. Did that cover all of them or just 10?
No, that was just 10. Can we go
Okay.
ahead and move on to?
You
11?
can, well, I tell you, we're going to have to vote on them one by one, so as you're done, let's just go ahead and see if
Okay.
there's questions on that one, and then we'll vote, because we can't vote. I kind of wanted it that way, but someone to my left said no. Bob, question?
Have you calculated or estimated a cost for the city being billed for the copay?
We do. We have the estimated cost at both, you know, the 16%, 20%, 25%, 100% utilizations.
So what is it at your, what are you saying, you're estimating using 20%? What is it at 20%?
It would be $77,090 at 20%.
Okay, and $77,090, how much is that, or what percent of that, if you took the total premium, well, how much is the total premium for the year?
Well, the anticipated increase is 4.9%. That includes that 77,000.
Oh, it includes the 77, okay.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Gail? Seeing none, any debate? Roll call, please.
Okay, does this motion that we have on the floor, is that for adoption?
Okay, I'm being told that we need a new motion. I need a motion to accept 2012-10.
Move to accept.
Is
Second.
there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, is there debate on this motion? Roll call, please.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scribner,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Okay, next we'll have 2012-11. Gail.
Okay, 2012-11 is the renewal for the rest of our employee benefits. We actually went out to bid on dental insurance and then life and long-term disability. Those three plans were up for renewal this year. However, we did get 2 companies that bid on those plans also bid that if we switched our vision, accident, critical illness coverages to them also, then they would further reduce the dental and the life insurance costs. It really wasn't staff's plan to switch all of our plans on the employees because that's a lot of switching of plans. But it does save us about $40,000 a year, and it basically makes the changes really no major increases at all on any of the plans. So it would be a switch then to Guardian.
Okay. Any questions, Gail? At this point in time, we'll entertain a motion to accept number 11. Moved by Bill and seconded by Mr. Schulte. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte, Scribner,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll skip over number 12 for now. We'll come back to that, Roger. Next, we'll have 2012-13. Gail.
Okay, this is a renewal for our property insurance. We went to bid, received a number of proposals back. We are currently with Commonwealth Insurance Company for our property insurance. This would be a renewal with Commonwealth. It is about a 14% increase, which is definitely more than we were hoping for, but it is a tough market out there, and that was the lowest increase, actually, that we received. It maintains all of our current coverages.
Okay. Any, before we do that, any questions, Gail? Need a motion to approve, please.
So move.
Moved by Henry, seconded by Schulte. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scrivener,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Pope.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we'll go on to 2012-14, Gail.
Okay, 2012-14 is the agreement for our liability insurance. We went out to bid for our liability insurance, again, received a number of proposals. The city staff is recommending a agreement with MoPerm, which is actually a public entity shared risk pool here in Missouri. The increase, it maintains pretty much all of our current benefits. The increase for the first year is about just over $1,000 higher than what we're paying for our current policy. However, that does include a $36,000 one-time fee that in, second year, third year, we would not have to pay. The reason for that is because we have some of our policies right now are on a claims-made basis. In other words, when a claim is made, whatever insurance company is in effect at that time would take that claim. MoPerm does all of theirs on occurrence basis, which means regardless of when the claim is made, whatever day that liability occurred is whatever company is in force at that time would have to take that claim. So moving from a claims made to occurrence basis obviously could leave us open to no coverage if we don't have this pickup clause, which they're going to pick up for $36,000. So future years we wouldn't have that. So without that, the cost itself is actually 11% decrease. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Gail? Seeing none, we'll have a motion to approve, please. Need a first and second.
Second.
Carey and Pope. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Schulte, Scrivener,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Prather.
No.
All right, that passes. Gail, thank you for that presentation. Moving on, we'll go back to number 12, 2012-12, Roger Schwartz.
This resolution would allow us to apply for a Safe Routes to School grant. MoDOT has indicated that there is about $1.5 million available statewide for a Safe Routes to School grant, and we have a route to propose to you, and that is with the Morrill Heights school area, and it would provide sidewalks along Morrill Drive and along Ellis Boulevard in areas that do not have sidewalks today, and would connect some of those neighborhoods in that area that would allow kids to walk on a sidewalk to school much further than what they do today. We kind of looked at all the schools around the city, and this one seemed to have the most absence of sidewalks in around our elementary schools. So that's where we came up with this project, and it does require a match by the city, and we would take that money out of our capital improvements plan if we're successful in getting this grant. Be happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Roger? Mr. Henry.
Roger, what would be the city's match?
I got the wrong one. Let me get the other one. It would be 70,000. It's the total project cost is 350, and our 20% match would be 70,000.
Any other questions of Roger? Okay, at this point in time, we need to entertain a motion to approve, please.
So move.
Moved by
Second.
Ralph, second by Carey. Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, please. Oops, I'm sorry. Mr. Lubert.
I'd just like to comment, I've heard in the past, recent past, about some difficulties with grant accounting. So I'd like to urge you at this point, since we're talking about grants, to make special effort that the accounting is done satisfactorily.
Understood.
Point well taken. All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Pope,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte,
Aye.
Scrivener,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll move on to 20. Are we done with those?
15.
Oh, 15 is next. I'm sorry, 2012-15. Roger.
This is another grant application that we would like to make with MoDOT, and we have 4 recommendations for you here. And to tell you as I go through these, we do need them placed in priority order as we submit a grant for these transportation enhancement funds. MoDOT has indicated to us they have just over $3 million available in this pool in the Central Missouri District for enhancement grants. So you're going to see a list here that's quite a lot larger and quite a lot more money. This was reviewed by the Public Works and Planning Committee, and we have somewhat placed them in the order based on a discussion that we had at that meeting, but certainly we want to get the council's input on all of these. I'll start with the first one, and that is a proposal to make improvements to our Amtrak Depot Plaza with restoration of Water Street down in that area to enhance the appearance of our city where people get off of the Amtrak train. It also would add some parking down in that area. It's a brick street that doesn't drain well. Our proposal is to replace all of that brick street with some permeable pavers to help drainage and help the appearance down in there. It would also add some ADA parking and some historic lighting in that area. The total cost on this project is $600,000, and the city's portion would be about $120,000. Bill, can you go to the next one? It doesn't seem to be advancing there. Again, this is the one I mentioned to you on Safe Routes to School. We want to apply for this one as well in the enhancement pool, and that is for the Morrow Heights school sidewalks. And this would add the sidewalk on Morrow and Ellis. The total cost is $350,000, with the city's portion to be $70,000. Bill, can you advance me there? I'm sorry. The third one is the trailhead for the Missouri River Bridge pedestrian walkway. This would provide some parking here along Clay Street that would be angled parking that we could construct in here. This is a much smaller project, and we're hopeful that this one might get funded if they have some leftover funds as a smaller project. But its total cost is $70,000, with the city's match to be $14,000. And then the final one is a greenway project that the Parks Department would like to pursue. This is off of Edgewood Drive, where the Parks Department has just completed a parking lot improvement and would extend the Greenway Trail over in the area of Frog Hollow and to the location where the school just made their announcement today. Those are the 4 projects that we would like to consider. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have. And I'm sorry I didn't mention the cost of this last one. The total cost is $400,000, and the match for the city would be $80,000. Be happy to entertain any questions and that you might have.
Roger, I have just a quick question. What's in the yellow underneath Frog Hollow Road?
There's a bridge, a low water crossing there where you have to cross the creek.
Oh, okay. So I'm assuming you'd be using the. There's a bypass there now, isn't there, or a drive over or whatever? How would you get underneath the highway?
You would go underneath the overpass bridge.
Okay. Bob.
Roger, 2 questions on the Amtrak site. those bricks that are currently make up that street, are those historic in nature, or are they, I would assume they've been there a long time and may very well have some historic significance. Some of them may have even been made here in Jefferson City. Would we have any plans for some kind of preservation of those, or what would we do with them?
We haven't made any plans at this point, but yes, certainly this portion of Water Street is some of the oldest area of the city. It's next to a state park there that has some of our most historic structures of the city, and yes, these bricks are very old. We have not made any plans at this point. We're even anticipating and have set a little bit of money aside that as we take those bricks up, that we may find other artifacts underneath those bricks from even prior to it being a brick street. So we've been working with DNR and have had conversations with them about any artifacts that we find on how we might preserve those. But we have not talked, that I understand, though, at this point about the bricks themselves, but certainly something could be done to save those if we have a need for those.
I mean, if we could use them somewhere in some way, sidewalk or something, I don't know. But the second question, the image that you have up there now, you said the city's match would be 80,000. Would that be 80,000 from park funds or 80,000 from city revenues?
That would be from Parks funds, correct, Bill? You want to comment?
Okay, thank you.
What was the total cost of that, Roger, of this
This one's
extension?
400,000 is
Wow.
what's estimated on
And
this
our
section.
cost would be 80, right? Okay. Any other questions on 2012-15 for Roger? Okay, seeing none at this point in time, we'll entertain a motion to accept.
Second.
Pope and Henry. Any discussion or debate by council? Oh, Roger's got a...
If the council has any desire to change the order that they're listed in, we need to know that, because we do have to submit these in priority order. So,
Any issue there, council? Bob?
I move that we leave them in the order that they were presented to the council.
Okay, we'll just, I don't know if we have to do that as a motion. If everyone's okay with that, we'll just call it, that's what it is. Good enough? All right. Any other debate on this issue? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Scrivener,
Aye.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Pope,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now into number 19, which allows members of the audience to come up and address us about other matters. And Mr. Gaskin is on the agenda tonight. Charles, welcome back. It's always good to see you. It's good to see you upright. How's everything going? Well,
my wife is causing me a lot of stress.
you know, we don't talk
That's
about that
something
here.
we don't-
Okay,
okay.
that's on Wednesday nights now.
Yes, sir.
By all means, welcome. For the record, please state your name and address.
Yes.
And are you going to need a couple extra minutes?
No,
Can you do it in 3?
I'm doing fine.
There you go. It's up to you, sir. Go.
Charles Gaskin, 2604 Twin Hills Road, 3rd Ward, 2nd Precinct. I have been following the bankruptcy and the about to be bankrupt of many cities and counties for over 4 years. All have similarities such as wasteful spending, having one or more conference or convention centers or whatever you wish to call them. And when citizens realize what is happening to them, they ask the current administration, who did this to us? And the answer is always, it isn't us, some past administration. The way I believe you folks are going to build something called a conference center or an exhibition hall, or now it's an event center, will cause severe financial crises for stress for some time in the future. I want you to know that I had contacted a law firm that I respect and work with. I had instructed them upon my death to inform the good citizens of Jefferson City just who caused this future financial crisis that I believe is coming. I had given them the means to find this out, plus alternatives and time limits for the announcements. I have also identified the past 5 administrations as well as the current one. This includes every council member, mayor, city administrator, and city councilor. I have, however, identified one member who I believe is not culpable, and one other at this moment in time is a maybe. Should I be alive when this future event occurs, I will do the honors. Thank you, and good night.
All right, any questions for Charles? All right, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Yes, sir, thank you.
We'll talk again soon. Next on the agenda, we have council and staff discussion of presentation topics. Seeing none, we'll move on to 21. Any new business tonight? Any unfinished business, number 22? 23, scheduled reports. Carrie mentioned the other day at the Brown Bag that there was a report or something that we wanted to remind people about, Carrie?
The police department now has a drop-off for prescriptions, old
That's right.
prescriptions.
Yes, that's right. About 2 weeks ago, we installed a permanent prescription and over-the-counter drug drop box. It's in our lobby at 401 Monroe, and it has instructions on it for what is acceptable, what drugs are acceptable, and what are prohibited. We've worked with the DEA in the past on like for one-day kind of event where we would accept those unused, unneeded types of prescriptions, and they were always successful. So we placed a permanently installed drop box in our lobby, and we've already had to empty it several times. So I'm amazed at how often it's used and the quantity that is placed in that box by various citizens. So it's been a great success. No reason to think it won't continue to be. So we want everyone to know that if you'll come to 401 Monroe, right in the front lobby, it's obvious. It's a green box, and if you have any unneeded, unused, outdated prescriptions, bring it down. We will give those prescriptions to the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency administration, and they will dispose of them properly. So thank you for the opportunity to share that.
All right, thanks, Carrie, for bringing that up. Any other scheduled reports tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 24. At this point in time, we'll entertain a motion to accept the September 17th closed session minutes. First and second, please. First by Lubert, second by Carrie. Thank you. Discussion, seeing none. Roll call, please.
Bray,
Aye.
Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Pope, Prather,
Aye.
Schulte, Scrivener.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri. The council now may go into closed session to discuss the following real estate. Motion, please.
Second.
Moved by Rick, seconded by Ralph. That was Rick Mahalovich. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bray, Carroll,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Lubert,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Pope,
No.
Prather,
Aye.
Schulte, Scrivener.
Aye.
Okay, we will meet again in 12 minutes. Or actually, we'll just make it 8:45 across the way. Thank you and have a great night.